Alright, so if you guys probably saw from the intro, I'm trying to do a custom kick plate. Basically, if you've ever seen that website, gorecon.com, they have these custom F-150 plates that light up all the way around. I think it's a pretty neat idea, and unfortunately they're about $280, which I'm not willing to pay something like that. So I did see a guy on one of the F-150 forums actually has a newer F-150 that already had the plastic like this already made out, and he took a Dremel tool and drilled all that out and then had a light running underneath. Looks pretty good, but unfortunately these older Fords like mine, which is a 2000, only has that small emblem there, and you're gonna have to be pretty good with a Dremel tool to get that fine-tuned like that, so that kind of limits your options. So what we got here is, I initially thought I could just sand this off flush and actually make my own template, but that's easier said than done. To make your own template, you know, for a Ford emblem or symbol is a little bit difficult, and I'm not that great with a Dremel tool. I can do okay, but then I also looked down here to maybe use this. That when you pull that back, it's actually all metal behind that, so you can't really do anything with that either. So we'll pull this up. I've already gently pulled it up, and you need to gently pull it. You know, it's not your dick. You don't want to yank it, and you'll flip it over and see that there's already these pre-notches from the front right there. You see those? And it goes all the way up. And what I'm wanting to do is take that Dremel tool right down that sleeve right there and have this opening partially exposed. And what I'll do is I'll have the lights running all the way across, basically almost kind of like a runway light, I guess you could say. But I thought initially maybe to sand it down flush, but the thing is, if you sand it flush, then you're going to already expose that completely. So, and also you obviously got to be cautious of those tabs here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and use the Dremel tool, and I mean, you kind of got options. You could alternate, or you could do just the front ones, the big ones. I'm going to go ahead and probably just do all of them except for those two small ones on the end there. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and show you shortly thereafter of that, alright? Alright guys, so we're back. We're done with the cutting here. And so my biggest advice to you is to take your time with this. This is something that took me a couple hours for each one individually. It's very tedious, and like I said, you got to be patient with it. And so, like I mentioned before, I used a Dremel tool, and what I did is I started with this edge right here, one of these, and I ran it down the side. And then I took a drill bit and I just gently drilled on the side, because you don't want to get too far, because it's just going to make a straight line all the way across. And then you are going to have some edges. Once you start, when you do that, cut that edge, you could fold it back, because you got to cut it from the inside. If you cut it from the top, you're going to run a risk of not hitting the groove that's made back here. But when you're cutting, it's going to accumulate this plastic right on the edge. When you're done with it, you can fold it back, and you can actually take just a sharp knife and gently you can scrape that off to get a nice edge there. And so there are some places here that I wasn't happy with, but what I'm hoping is the gel or epoxy that you're going to fill in there will kind of help make up the difference with that. Like I said, it's very tedious, and this step right here is the point of no return. So once you start cutting into that, you're kind of committed. So just be forewarned with that if you guys are debating if this is going to be too much and over your head. But anyway, so the epoxy I was talking about, you can get this at Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. This is Loctite here, and the biggest thing to get out of this is, I don't know if you can read that, but it says crystal clear. You don't want the ones that actually have like the two-tube mixture, because most of those colors are called translucent yellow. So unless you want this to turn out a nice piss color, you know, hey, that's your choice. But I'm going to go with the crystal clear. You're going to probably need about 2 or 3 of these. I think I picked it up for about $4 a thing. I picked up 2. But if you have the kick plate like mine, you can see that's going to take a lot of epoxy to fill those in. And even though it does say it dries in 10-15 minutes, it's going to need at least 24 hours before you can start messing with this. So basically the next step is, what you want to do is you're going to take basically painter's tape, and you want to lay it across the back side. You don't want to push it too far through the gap. You just want it enough to hold the epoxy in place until it can take hold to the sides there. And that's going to need to sit for a while, and then like I said, I'll show you the next step after that, but we'll gently peel it back. And the overall general idea is, once you put the LED behind it, it'll light up the whole epoxy versus just seeing specks of LED through the gap, okay? Okay, so it's been about almost 24 hours since I've had the epoxy put on. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. I've already peeled the tape off the back. You are going to have some areas that might actually leak through a bit. Kind of forms like almost like an icicle there. You can just cut those off. Make sure you don't pull it off, obviously, because you might actually pull the epoxy out of the center there. This has definitely been one of those projects that you learn as you go. I realize this glue works pretty good, but as you're trying to apply it down there, squeezing it just doesn't give you a good consistency. What I learned is you can just get you like a syringe. They have these at Walgreens. You don't have to buy the needle, obviously, but just draw it out and then run it through here, and you can have a lot more control running it through there. And I found it better to actually go slowly and wait for it to fill versus going like this, overlapping, which is a faster pace. It doesn't turn out as good as that. So if you take your time, just do it very, very slowly and wait for it to fill up. Obviously you're going to have to do that quite a few times, even for these larger ones here. So if by chance you do have some that overflows on the edges here, let this sit for about 20 or 30 minutes. It'll start to get a little bit hard. It'll be hard enough, just enough where you can scrape it off, versus if it's still liquid, you're just going to smear it around. So it's one of those things I learned that makes a big difference. Also forgot to mention that if you're going to be using the Dremel tool to drill those out, make sure that you wear some type of safety glasses or something or another, because it does shoot directly at your eyes when you're cutting. So I actually just got the LED lights in just a few minutes ago, and so we'll go ahead and move to the truck there, and hopefully these will turn out good. Alright, so I went ahead and got the this side of the LED hooked up. It's not quite dark yet, but you can kind of see what we're trying to do here. I think it actually, for the most part, didn't turn out too bad. I'll go ahead and pull this back. I didn't really snap that down yet. There's the actual LEDs. Like I said, I got these from superbrightleds.com, and they're a little bit brighter than what I was thinking, but I think it toned it down a bit once you put the kick plate back on. To run the power, I had let me show you the other one here. So you got your red and black there, or red, black, and red. I went ahead and took the red, black, and I used the fuse box up here. I had it running to, I think that's just my regular dash instruments there. The pain was to find power that was running with the rest of the interior lights. Like, you know, you have some wires running down here. I couldn't find the wires that run to the interior lights. So what I ended up having to do is I actually ran it through the door. You can kind of see the wire right there. I'm going to tuck that underneath, and actually have it running to this light here. And to be honest with you, yes, it was a bitch. And so it's going to be your decision on what you want to do with that. If you know a better way, by all means, I'm all ears, because I would still got to do the other side. But essentially, this is the idea. It does have tape on the back. I really don't think it needs the tape. You can just put that on top, and it should keep it pretty snug. You can cut it to fit. I got about probably 6 or 7 inches that is running back behind here, but I really don't see the point in cutting it. I'll just leave it the full piece. So essentially, like I said, once the door's closed, that will do the same. So I'm hoping, like I said, it was one of those learn as you go projects. If you got any questions, I'll try to answer them, but like I said, I did this with what knowledge I had. And so if you got the Dremel tool, you have most of the tools, I would recommend trying it if you want to. But if you got to go out and buy the Dremel tools and all that, man, I just don't know if it would be worth it for somebody to go through the effort. But like I said, that's essentially it right there. I might show one more video when it gets a little bit darker for you to get maybe a better view of it. So thanks, guys. Alright, so we are officially done. Took some time, but this is what we got. Hopefully the video will show up okay. All in all, I think it's alright. Is it better than Go Recon's kick plates? No, I wouldn't say so, but I would say I didn't spend 280 bucks either. So like I said, be patient with it. Hopefully if you guys found a better way to run the wires and stuff, I'm all ears. That was definitely a hassle to run it from the door to the LED and then all the way over to the fuse box there. But hey, it's all good though. And so kind of back up, at least let it see from a distance there. I'm gonna walk up, not too overpowering, but just kind of a nice accent lighting. So we'll go around the other